as someone who early and often described central banking as slavery. Well, I mean, I use a lot of different terms, but basically slavery. I think I said it's an institutionalized system of time theft. I wrote a whole piece in 2020 called Masters and Slaves of Money, more or less saying getting to the same points as you, right? Like you can't call this anything other than slavery. It's stealing people's time and energy. Like what else would you call that? Kind of wrestling with it too. It's like, well, I don't know what other term to use. Like I can't find it. So this is the only one that seems to work. But that, man, even among Bitcoiners, people didn't like that. People did not like that. Like even Bitcoiners are like, that's too far. It's not slavery. This is slavery where they got the whips and the chains and the guns. Like this is something else. And I'm like, okay, what is it? What do you call it? So can you steelman, because you're using the term here, slavery, enslavement, et cetera. Can you steelman your argument that central banking is enslavement?
Yeah. I mean, so the case against that is, obviously just everything hinges on that's not slavery. Mm-hmm. And the reason that I steelman in the book is not only I'm a philosopher and I'm capable of making the others. I can argue for the other side too, mm-hmm. and that's why I know the holes and I can poke at them, and it just kind of gives that I don't know. It just gives strength. It's like this isn't just some. And I wrestled with that. I wrestled with the idea of slavery too. Mm-hmm. Surely that can't be. It's just it's clickbait, right? Yeah. It's clickbait. It's like, no, it's actually it's the formal definition of slavery. And that's what's going on. But steelmanning that is you point to, okay, well, you need to control the other person 100%. You have to own them. You have to force mm-hmm. breeding or beat them. It's like, okay, well, beatings can be more severe or less severe. Mm-hmm. So we go down the line of saying, you're saying that, if you're not in chains and you're not being beaten and you're not literally subjugated at a physical, if you're not physically dominated, it's not slavery. It's like, well, we can push and pick on all those different variables of that physical domination. So like this slave is in the field working hard, getting whipped. Is he a slave? Yes, he's a slave. Okay. Well, here's a slave in the house, mm-hmm. right? They have a comfy bed. They're mm-hmm. eating good scraps and they're not hit. Are they mm-hmm. a slave? Well, yes, they're a slave too. It's like, okay, so we've established then mm-hmm. that there's this spectrum of okay, it can be more or less. There's a lever here that we're pulling on. So philosophically, you throw that, I identify that as a material characteristic of slavery and mm-hmm. I push it off the table because it doesn't matter.
That's right.
It literally doesn't matter if you're comforted or you're treated horribly. Right. It's still slavery. Now, yes, that sucks. Getting beaten is not good, and that's a whole nother level. In addition to, but just that the function. Both people, their work. Mm-hmm. There is, coercively appropriated. Their productive energy is being taken from them and set and determined, directed by another. Yeah. So it's the dynamic is the same. So you just strip away all that, the chains. It's just it's a good metaphor because mm-hmm. it's slavery. Right. But it's just because we aren't, in a weird way, fiat is, there's a natural limit to how many people I can enslave. Mm-hmm. I can only force maybe a couple other weaker people than me, or maybe I get some of my buddies together and we, have our plantation and we have we got 10 or we got 100, mm-hmm. Scaling slavery is hard. Yeah. Well, fiat is the ultimate scalable instrument, its function is to extract that productive energy. So it's just they extract it from everyone that uses a dollar. Yes. Every dollar holder is in those chains, and whatever value you are creating and putting into that money, mm-hmm. it's just going to get siphoned right out.
That's right.
And it's so, I don't know. I guess that's my, the steel man that's not slavery. It's to conflate the formal definition of slavery, its function, which is the extraction of that productive energy, with some accidental, manifestation, different tools is
Yes.
like, we can even take murder. You know, it's a different moral crime, right? We all understand that it doesn't matter if I hit you with an axe or I slip some poison into your drink. Like, I would be charged with murder because I killed you.
Right.
You know, it's like, well, that's not murder because it wasn't, you know, violent and like bloody. It's like, well, no, that's silly. Like we don't talk about murder that way, but yet when we're talking about enslavement, we want to say, no, only if you use an axe, only if you're in chains, only if you physically dominate people. Yeah. Well, economically dominating them is it's a lot more subtler, and it's a lot more effective.
Yeah, no, it's well said. And I mean, would you agree then that the chains, which is even, you know, obviously in the title of your book, it's a metaphor for non-consensual interaction, right? Like, you know, you're in chains, like presumably chains that you can't take off, because if you could take them off, well, you probably wouldn't be in chains.
Yeah. The metaphor is, the metaphor is like the coercion part.
Yeah.
You know, like you are coerced. There is some force that is
or threat
applying,
of force.
Or threat of force is applying pressure to you, to
which
your
is two
existence.
sides of the same coin as non-consent, right? Because you wouldn't need the force to compel the action or the threat of force to compel the action if there were consent. So it's like we're saying almost the same thing two different ways.
Yep. I mean, and this chain part too here is like this is another critique that I like. So I'm coming from this from the moral side, and I'm coming into the Bitcoin world, and everybody's saying the money's broken. We got to fix it. We got to fix the money. And I'm sitting here thinking, the function of money is to form the relationships between people. It is to hold society together. Okay. Is fiat money fulfilling that function? Yes.
Over what time scale?
Well, yeah, over what time scale? Yeah. But currently, today, right now, it is. It is shaping how we relate to each other. So money is perfect. Like our fiat money is perfectly functional. And like when I think of broken, when I think of fixed, I'm thinking of function. Like it is a functional term. Like the hammer is broken. It doesn't drive nails.
Yeah.
Like, so it's not that the money's not broken. If anything, it works too well. The money is evil. Like that's the whole, the problem isn't it's broken, that we need to fix it. The problem is it's literally evil. And we have to free ourselves from that evil to then have the opportunity to plant our economic tree in ethical, fertile soil.
Beautifully said. I agree. Again, I agree with you conceptually, but I just want to say the other side, because it's a common mantra in Bitcoin, right? Fix the money, fix the world. And
it's powerful because it's true. It latches onto a partial truth.
Well, here's where I think, because they're not saying, when Bitcoiners say that, they're not saying go and fix the Federal Reserve. They're not saying that. They're saying that shit is broken. We need money that is fixed. Like, and that has multiple meanings, right? Fixed supply, doesn't break, permanent uptime, you know, all these things. And I think if we stick with money as the glue that holds people together, it's like, okay, gold does a really good job over time, right? It's sound money, but it doesn't do a great job of holding people together across space because it lacks portability, right? So it kind of lacks that dimension of social cohesion. Fiat's the inverse, right? It works right now really well, right? The dollar standard's working and we all have bank accounts so we can all blah, blah, blah. Works great across space, but let's fast forward 200 years. It surely is not going to be here, right? Like fiat currencies always sort of end in hyperinflation or conquest. So you get space, but not time. Social cohesion across space, but not time. And then Bitcoin like perfects the two, right? You get social cohesion across time because it has a permanently fixed supply. No one can debase it. No one can monopolize it. No central banking, et cetera. And then you get permanent social cohesion across space because it's digitally native, right? You can move it at the speed of light, more or less, right? Settlement times, layer twos, blah, blah, blah. And so I think just like, I still feel like this is another area where we agree, but there's like a subtle semantic difference.
Because like, again, I'm coming from, I'm I'm understanding this Aristotelian kind of understanding. I'm like, so when I hear you talking about that, I'm thinking, okay, how do those material attributes actualize that formal function?
Yeah.
And I'm saying the final cause, that glue, that social glue, that's money's final end, like its final cause. So it's like they're both functions in a sense, but they are separate. And I would argue that like the final cause, is like on the top.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why that's what I'm saying. Like the money works.
Yeah.
It's just evil. It's like, yes, you can have money that has all these different properties, material properties that make it better or worse money. And there's that natural hierarchy of that, but it's kind of like the meta function, that thing that is one step above it, that it has to do. Like, what's the final thing it's working towards? Yeah. It's creating society and how we relate to each other.
Yeah.
So it's like, like I said, in the book, I address this too. Like, it's not that it's wrong. I'm not saying that they've latched onto something false. Yeah. Because that's what makes it good. It is powerful rhetoric. Yeah. Because it's grounded in a truth. It is true. Yeah. But like, to think of it as just this hammer, and it can't hit the nail. Mm-hmm. Well, that takes it out of the moral realm. I see.
So you're trying to keep it in the moral realm.
I'm trying to keep it in the moral realm for this. And we'll get back to this. Like, this is the perfect spot for this. So being in the military, all right, strategy, thinking, all right. How do you plan an engagement? I'm going to do an ambush. There's a lot of planning that goes into that. Mm-hmm. What's the process? What are the principles that you use to ensure that you win? It's like, okay, well, you look at the terrain and you're trying to create this you're trying to maximize the asymmetry between your advantage and their disadvantage. Yeah. You're saying this is the high ground and this is the low ground. Mm-hmm. How can I funnel my enemy into that low ground? I'm going to draw this area. I'm going to draw the box where I engage in them, where I have the best advantage with my people, my weapons, my tactics. Like, so to me, the moral high ground, that's it. Like, that's the highest part on this. When we're talking about orange pilling, advocating for why you need to take action and do something about this, the moral high ground is the top spot on this battlefield. And defending slavery is the low ground. Right. So I am going to press, every politician. This book just come out, and it's going to, whether or not they answer or not, I'm going to ask every single representative via Twitter. I'll tweet at them and say, hey, what happens when you debase the money? Answer it. I'm going to hold you to account. You have to answer this question. You defend slavery. That's the greatest tactical strategy you have. So in the military, you would never forfeit the high ground. Right. You would never go and meet them like on a level playing field. Yeah. And when we push morality to the side and we're just talking economics and investment and look at its performance and it's outperforming this and it's outperforming that. Well, we're just in an economic debate. Right. On theory, I have this theory about economics and you have this theory of economics and which one sounds more persuasive? It's a debate. It's a rhetorical debate on who seems more persuasive, and it's not in reality. Where the reality, the boots on the ground is, hey, we're enslaved. You defend it. You can't defend it, and that it outs you. That's right. So when you ask the politician, when you ask your leader, do you understand debasement? Do you even know what it's doing? They either have to say, oh, I didn't think about this, or they say, oh, I understand it, and I'm going to therefore act on it, or they're going to out themselves as complicit or incompetent. Right. Just make the implicit explicit. Yes. You're either for this, you either understand this, or you're not. And dude, holding leaders to account. Leadership is about delivery. It's about results. In World War II, they fired countless generals, and no one gets fired today. There's a lack of accountability. oh, we hate our politicians, yet they get reelected 13 times and, you know, they're 80 years old. And it's just like, you know, enough's enough. You know, if we look at you and we judge you by the fruit that you are delivering to us, it's like the results they're just worth our contempt and ridicule. You know,
well said.
Like, you need to deliver. This is the issue.
Yeah.
And
I really appreciate you keeping it in the domain of the moral.
yeah, you won't get me off this hill.
Yeah.
Because this is a spot to be.
Well, again, you're right, because as you said earlier in the book, right, it's our rationality that makes us moral agents, I think is the way you put it, right? So like to deviate from the moral sphere is to like give up your humanity in a way, right? Like you're saying, let's just be animals, you know, unless you stay. And something about the moral high ground of Bitcoin seems to be basically unassailable. Like even when you're arguing on behalf of Bitcoin to someone who is a total Bitcoin detractor, it's like free speech in a way. It's like when someone says something to you that you don't like, it's like, if you condemn what they're saying, then you are not a proponent of free speech, right? Free speech is the right of other people to tell you things you don't want to hear, right? That's what free speech is. So even when you're arguing with a Bitcoin detractor and you say, you know, Bitcoin does all these things for the human moral agent, even if they hate Bitcoin, it's like, well, you're still arguing on their behalf in a way. It's like Bitcoin also it serves me in the same way it'll serve you, right? Yeah. And so there is this like unassailability to the moral high ground of Bitcoin that's very fascinating. Very difficult arguments to make. People resist them. People, you know, what do you mean? Good, evil? Like, don't make it so hyperbolic. But
people hate people. They recoil at that because, I mean, in a weird way, it's a drawing of the line.
Yes,
it's saying no, and that kind of completely, you know, and maybe this is also part of that, like this subjective, relativistic, like, well, who's to say, you know, like what's good for you is good for me, whatever, like like anything goes. And it's like, well, that's not reality. You know, there are lines to be drawn. There is good and evil. Human beings are a thing. You know, we're not just whatever again, this rejection of this, whatever you think is your mind. No, it's this, we're taking both of those things, we're putting them together, and that is a human being.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, click here to find more just like it, and here to find our most recent episode. Also, make sure to like this video to help shine light on the corruption of money, and be sure to subscribe to this channel to stay connected.